What's good, everybody? Joby Warren here, and this is the Light of the Jedi podcast. Today, I am joined with the Jedi twins, Jedi Jill and Jedi Joy. You guys say hello.
Hey.
And then, of course, we've got Anakin Crespin, the guy in the chair, the chosen one, the guy who puts this
Mm,
show together. Man,
mm.
we appreciate you. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I've watched this
Now, for
episode.
everybody,
Oh,
no, go
sorry.
ahead.
I watched this episode like 3 or 4 times by now.
Oh,
So,
good, good,
yeah.
good. And you do really good about retaining the information and really kind of grabbing some of that stuff. So I know you noticed a lot of things maybe that we didn't, and that'll be great for the show. And guys, again, I'm Jovi One. I know you can't see me if you're watching right now. I've been a little under the weather, so I'm going to go no camera today for the podcast. I hope that's okay with you guys. But yeah, episode 5, guys. What a ride that was. What a great
Mhm.
episode. I remember episode 4, man. I remember how it ended and how
Mm-hmm.
intense that moment was. And like I remember just hoping that we were going to pick up with basically that same intensity, and we did, it was really nice. So Jill, real quick, Jedi Jill, what did you think? What are your overall thoughts of the episode? I know you haven't had your chance to really kind of give it a full, second or third watch through, but just your overpass, how did you feel about it?
It is something that I've never seen in Star Wars or has been done by Star Wars before. It
Hmm.
was it was like, what? And then we like, whoa, oh no. Like who's left? It
I
was
know.
it was just crazy. Crazy.
Seemed
So
like
I
every
mean
few minutes, every few moments, every time it changed to like you got away
mhm.
from one fight and you got to this next moment, and it was like, okay, all right, certainly something else. Someone's gonna save. You're like waiting for that next. Someone's gonna save the day. Something's gonna. And it was just such a crazy episode. But Joy, same thing. What do you
Mm.
think? Just kind of your overpass of the episode. What do you think?
Uh, wow. Shocking. Very shocking. I would have never expected to take that turn. I mean, it didn't go north, south, west, or east. It went. I don't know
Mm,
where it went. you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
that
you
was.
you, you were guessing that what was going to happen. I don't think anybody had a clue as to the outcome of this episode 5.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Maybe.
that was something else, man. The I was literally standing for 3/4 of the episode. I mean, I went from kind
yeah.
of sitting on the edge of my seat at first to standing, and like standing, like look like I wanted to be there just so I could see more of what was happening up close. I mean, because it was so intense, but like it was also a little scary. It's like you kind of could feel like in that moment. Okay, so like Osha kind of wakes up and like looks over, and she's kind of helplessly seeing like, she can't jump in and fight, and like when you're watching this happen, yeah, and I had this kind of visceral urge watching Osha wake up, like I'm thinking like, run over there, dude, like do something, and like
Yeah.
then I'm
Yeah, yeah,
realizing,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
crap,
yeah.
if that were me, I'm seeing it from my perspective, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I would do that. I'd be like, I got to get over there and do something. And I'm like, oh wait a minute, I'm powerless to eat. I would just be fodder. I would be sliced to bits immediately. And so you kind of have
Mhm.
that helpless feeling, and they really that translated
Yeah.
well across the screen. But Anakin, what do you think, man? What were your how'd you feel about it, man? Were your quick overpass of the episode altogether?
Well, you just made a good point about how you said it made you feel. I think that's just kind of how they were able to do the episode like so well and make it feel so intense and everything because we really were basically seeing through the eyes of Osha. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, anyway, um, I hate to say it, but it might be tied with episode 6 of Kenobi and episode 5 of Ahsoka, but I think
Ooh,
this is my favorite episode of my favorite Star Wars show, man.
ooh, ooh,
Getting so good.
ooh!
I'm
It
really becoming
was.
Wow.
invested in all the new characters and the storylines and everything. Like it's so good. But yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very good, man. I mean, it's been since the prequels since we've seen that kind of action. in Star Wars. Besides, obviously, the animated shows, but
Mhm.
in live action, it's been since the prequel since we've seen that sort of really intense action. And I don't know if you noticed, there was an actually they kind of did something interesting. They did kind of a mix of practical effects with the lightsabers and using CGI over effects with the blades. Whereas if you go watch like Kenobi, they didn't use the CGI after effects for the lightsaber blades, and you can kind of see
Yeah.
how that affected the shots. But if you
Mhm.
go watch Acolyte and take a close look, you can see that they actually did some enhancement
Yeah.
using CGI for the blades. And I mean, I noticed it, which some would say that's not a good thing. You shouldn't notice it. But I think it kind of enhanced some things, especially the view of the fight from Osha's point of view, looking into the forest before we got close in. I think it kind of enhanced that moment a little bit. But what did you guys think of? Did y'all notice that at all? Was I crazy? Was I the only person
I
who saw that?
I don't notice a thing any like when we start going that in. I mean, I'm not there. I'm
So
not
Yeah,
yeah, I
noticing any
mean,
of that stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
it
that makes
it
sense. I
looked
mean, it's
good. It looked good. It looked
Mhm.
really good. But
yeah,
for
I
me
was
to say,
too.
"Oh, that's that and that's that," and that's not me.
okay, yeah. Well, it's and it can be hard to notice that kind of thing, especially when you're enthralled in the middle of the story. And to be fair,
Mhm.
I didn't notice it until my second watch through. Like I was like, hey, wait a minute, there's something a little bit different about that. But kind of along those same lines, the big thing that I really wanted to ask was like, how have you guys felt about Kymer being revealed as the stranger, as this Sith? We'll start with Joy. What did you think about that? Was it shocking to you? Was it surprising to you? Were you
Well,
expecting it?
see, I have. Let's see. I had never had a clue. Never had a
Really?
clue never had a clue he was the stranger. And then it's like when
Whoa.
I know when we first see him in episode 3, he's just some guy who's drunk, who seems very unresponsible, and the writers have us thinking like he has a thing for May. Mm-mm. Episode 5 pops up and he's like, "What? What? What?" And so he some great acting. I mean, he does a great job of portraying Chimere, and then the flip side of the stranger.
The duality was
Yes.
incredible. Just the
Yes.
range. I
Yeah.
I I was legitimately amused by Keimer, the apothecary kind of awkwardy guy, and I was legitimately chilled by the
Uh-huh.
stranger once that mask was revealed. He was more scary without the mask to me.
Yeah.
He was
Mhm.
more scary without the mask. I was like, dude, the look on his face, the coldness in his eyes really translated well across the screen. It was very believable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree, Joy. That was a huge moment. What about
Mhm.
you, Anakin? What did you think about that moment? And how did you feel about Kymir being revealed as the stranger?
Well, all right, two things first. I was telling my mom before we watched the new episode and everything. I really wanted Kymir to be the Sith. Like, I know that they're making it really obvious and stuff, but I like uh, the guy who plays him, Manny Jacinto. He says he would play Kymir with like a Captain Jack Sparrow kind of energy, and I
Hmm.
really love that
Yeah.
about him.
Yeah.
I had said on one of the podcasts that I wouldn't be surprised if it was like the drunken monkey kind of situation, but
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
apparently apparently he was based off a character called Drunken Cat, and he's like a goofy drunk that turns out to be a powerful Shaolin master. So I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, they said that they wanted you to feel like uncomfortable by him and like kind of like unsettled. And I agree with Joe.
Mhm.
Like he definitely was super creepy and unsettling.
Yeah.
His mask off. And
Yeah.
last thing, well, two last things. I loved his cortosis armor. Real quick, did that confuse either of you guys when their lightsabers started shorting out?
Well, I mean,
Um.
for me, I know that I had no idea what the heck cortosis was.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that happen, the first
I.
watch through, I made a mental note to go look up what makes lightsabers. You know, I knew there would be some answer in the lore somewhere. So I was
Yeah,
like, I'm going to look this up later as soon as I watch this. And then I did. I went and looked it up and read a bunch of kind of surrounding material and kind of somewhat educated myself to come to find out that there was like even a blade made of cortosis alloy called the null blade or something at some point that was made in ancient times and all this stuff. So like I kind of like, and after that, watching it in context, it was like, dude, like then I was looking at it from the sense of the Jedi, who must have been incredibly confused. Like, you know, those they're swinging their lightsaber and they're expecting like I'm about to take this guy's noggin off, and then they hit his head with the and then and then they're like, what the heck? They're like fiddling with their lightsabers, and I'm the second watch through. It just actually that bit of knowledge kind of made it the situation more scary. So anybody who is a fan of Legends probably saw that and knew the story and was just like, oh my gosh, you know. But yeah,
What
what
about
about
you
you
guys?
guys? Joy, Jill, what did y'all think?
Well, can I say my thoughts on Kaimar or
Oh
Kaimar?
yeah,
Kai.
absolutely, please.
Oh, Kaimar. I'm
Chimera.
gonna pronounce his name wrong, and I apologize.
The Stranger.
I like
The
Yes.
stranger. So I did guess that that's who that was, and I
She
saw it
did.
in episode 4 where he's talking to May, and he's talking, and he says, I. So I'm thinking, and then he's like, well, there was just some other things, but it's just like that whole conversation, you pick up on things, and I'm like, that's the Sith.
She
That's
did. She
the
called it.
stranger. That's who that is.
She did.
And so yeah, and he was like, he was everything you said, all you guys have said already. He was just like crazy, crazy scary. I mean, he was just like, ooh, you know, you would look at him like, oh, somebody get him. He is so, you know, it was bad.
And fighting in such a way that was really confusing to the Jedi, and I was glad that they wrote in for Yord to kind of like, especially the guy who's all about the rules, to be like, you know, yo, this guy is not following the rules of combat at all. Somebody needs to call a referee. You know, like you could just see that he just did not have any concept of like this is a life and death situation, and the rules that you normally follow in the sparring room don't necessarily apply when you're being attacked by a madman who will use any and every necessary means to achieve his ends. And I mean, you know, and that also set us up to see some pretty neat lightsaber techniques. At least the way that I viewed it was pretty neat lightsaber techniques, which leads us into the next topic point, which is how we might feel about the demise of Jecki and Yord. And so with Jecki, you know, you could see throughout, from my perspective, you can kind of see throughout that she kind of has this little bit of a chip on her shoulder, and you can tell she's, you know, she kind of has the vibes of somebody who's knows a little and is willing to kind of get out there and do something. You could tell she knows how to fight, especially whenever she got out there, you know, against May, and the way that she held her own at first against Keimer. But again, you know, her not having the familiarity of like, this is kind of a real world situation, you know, and she's like really wanting to get him unmasked and everything else and open the door for him to use what I believe was the forbidden lightsaber technique, you know, which is to power it off in order to gain an advantageous position and then power it on to end your opponent. And then to be unmasked finally by by Jackie's body dropping, and that's the first time that you see that Kymer is the stranger, is when he drops her body, and then he's officially unmasked. And I mean, Soul's response was exactly what I was feeling in that moment. Like,
Yeah.
and then he goes, Jackie, and he goes, oh, is that its name? Like,
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. And then
Yeah.
Soul just looks up like, she was a child, so, and then he looks at him and goes, you brought it here, Bubba.
Yeah.
Dude, you no, I mean, straight mic drop moments. And then,
Yeah.
who are you? What kind of master hides their face from their pupil? And for him to look at him and say, you tell me, was just sick, man. It was so sick, because that tells us something crazy is going to come up that obviously Osha doesn't know about. And that is going to turn into a beef with Osha and Soul that is going to be heart wrenching, I think, for all of us. But anyways, and I could go on and on about that. But guys, what did you think about how Yord and Jackie were taken out by the stranger? What were your thoughts on that? Let's go with Joy this time first. What did you think?
Well, how she was taken out. I mean, I was actually she fought a pretty good fight, like you said. I mean, you pretty much said everything. She fought a pretty good fight. But I mean, I'll jump to the other spectrum of it. I don't think I'm gonna miss her too much though.
Oh,
I mean,
Wow.
I know. I
oh.
know. Just to be honest. I mean, it was
Or
just
were you one of the Yord horde?
I did like Yord,
Don't
and I
lie, man. It's because of that shirtless scene. Don't lie.
yeah, right. Well, what can I say? But he I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of his background of his character and his character develop a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we don't get to see that. But Jackie, she was not one of my favorite characters in the show.
I liked her kind of spunkiness, it kind of gave me Ahsoka vibes a little bit, and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
young Ahsoka vibes. And,
Mm-hmm.
they're a little different, but I mean, I get it though. But the other thing is too, is we didn't really get to spend a lot of time with any of these people individually, so
Well,
it's kind of, it's hard to,
yeah.
it's hard to grab onto them with that same type of depth. But I mean, for some, but I mean, I'm just a sucker. And so I see a lightsaber, and I am that 10-year-old that's going, ooh, like,
Well,
it just is
right,
what it is.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, so and yeah, that your death, Joy. What did you think about the manner at which he was removed? I don't think we've ever seen a Star Wars death like that. I mean, straight Steven Seagal, just straight neck snap. I mean,
Yeah.
wow. I was speechless.
Exactly. I mean, it is. It's just it was just wow. I
It was
mean,
shocking.
yeah, it's like this one, then that one, and on the. And I was like, oh,
Because Yord came in hot, man. He figured it out. Like he was adapting. If you watch, he was and Jackie was too. They were adapting to the battle. And I mean, and Yord comes in, force grasps the Cortosis helmet, uses it to shut down Kymer's blade momentarily to try and gain an advantage. Of course, Kymer was prepared for that, and then gave him the old the old twist tie technique. But
yeah.
that was intense, man. Like, Jill, what did you think? I mean, how did you feel about Jackie? How did you feel about Yord? How they went out? How do you feel about that?
Okay, so I would have liked to see more development with the characters. You're just starting to get used to them and try to understand who they are, and then we're like killing them off. But Jackie had a good fight with May. but it was just like, ah, and then the one Lord, that was just that was sad. I mean, that was just
Yeah.
like, ooh, and it's like you almost could hear the crack, you know? It
Oh
was like,
yeah.
uh,
It was
but
brutal.
yeah, and this the stranger eh, with Jackie, it was just like, yeah, he was playing games with her pretty much, and
Yeah,
he
he was
took her off her guard because she was holding her own at some point, you
pretty
know.
cold about the
She
whole
got a
thing.
little she got a little cocky once she was going for the helmet. You could see,
Mhm.
she kind of started getting that. She started feeling. She was throwing some moves. She looked like Yoda out there. I think she was
Yeah.
using a similar style, a similar lightsaber style to Yoda's style because
Uh-huh.
I mean, even in her defense, I don't know if you watched it. She did this move where she was double bladed, like
Oh,
jumping backwards, but deflecting his lightsaber at the same
Mhm.
time while kind of doing this flip thing. I mean, it was like literally felt like I was watching Yoda doing backflips fighting Count Dooku almost. It was very, very. I don't
wow.
want to say exact, but there was some poetry there. I'd like to say.
I'm
Um,
I
but
will
yeah,
say though that they both went out in style. I mean, they gave good fights and everything. They really did good, but it's just a shame to see them go off real quick.
yeah, yeah.
But
And we'll remember them. As Jackie said, it is an honor to witness anyone transform into the Force. So,
Mhm.
Jackie, we honor your transition, and you too, your. That was a nasty neck snap. But what did you think, Anakin? How did you feel about their character development in general? How did you feel about how their fight went and their eventual comeuppance? How did you feel about that?
Well, when she was fighting with the two lightsabers and like kind of on the back step, I feel like it's like the exact choreography that Anakin does against Count Dooku in Attack of the Clones.
Ooh, good call.
Hmm.
That's why, and I watched it like 3 times, and every time I'm like, yeah, that's definitely that. But
I'm glad you're here, man. I knew you'd know exactly the moment. That was a beautiful, beautiful analogy. Thank you.
things.
But
Another
yeah.
thing, I don't think he did the forbidden lightsaber technique. So he had like his lightsaber unscrews, and he has a shoto blade. So when she like went to, like brace her saber against his, he had unscrewed it right before and used the second blade to like impale her 3 times. But uh,
Okay.
that's like,
So the way I'm gonna have to go.
it's
Yeah,
so
you're probably
cheap,
right. I'm gonna
dude.
have to go rewatch.
Yeah,
But
because
that
when
was
they reveal his face, he's standing there with like the two sabers sticking out. But
okay.
anyway, it was pretty sick. I was telling people like Yord and Jackie are making it out alive, like no matter what. Like I thought Yord was gonna get messed up in this trailer. Uh, and dude, and Leslie Helen even said Chimere as the stranger was not supposed to be the surprise. The surprise is basically like the major character deaths. Um, but I gotta say, it was like a really dark episode and everything. But and I've seen some people, they'll always complain, but I've seen some people complain that this show isn't really offering much hope or like good things to say about the Jedi. But just in this episode alone, Jackie is fighting May. She doesn't pull out her lightsaber once. Like even after May starts throwing knives at her and everything, her mission is to arrest May. And even when Chimere starts trying to kill May, Jackie like defends her. You know what I mean? Even though she thinks she just murdered Kalnaka and took his lightsaber and all that stuff. So that um, I love that. And then for Yord, he's like the rule follower and everything, but he had like an arc in this episode where he was ordered to go to the ship and get Osha there,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's his thing. Like if he would have followed the rules, him and Osha, they probably would have been safe. They would have made it away, but he ends up, like Joe said, he ends up adapting and like not just with the Cortez's helmet, but he makes the right decision to go back and try to save Soul and everyone. And he does end up basically saving Soul, May, and Osha.
Which,
Yeah.
speaking of Soul, I gotta say, which this is something that I wanted to talk on that was not in your notes here,
Mm-hmm.
but Soul is a beast.
Dude, it's in my honorable mentions.
Soul, let me tell you something. When with no lightsaber, while Kymer had his fancy lightsaber, and Soul pieced that man up with a 2-piece and a biscuit, like I seen in the neighborhood, fam. Like, the only thing that saved Kymer's life was Osha stopping Soul from engaging himself in the dark side, which is exactly what was happening. That man went straight scorched earth on Kymer, and I mean, I'm gonna just say this right now: Soul might be the best hand-to-hand combat Jedi that we've ever seen. Like, no weapon, hand-to-hand combat. The way that he he demolished that man, and he had a fancy lightsaber with 2 blades in his hand, you know. And that whole sequence was intense for me. And I mean, when I say, like, I understood Soul in that moment viscerally from elements of things that have happened in my own life, and maybe one day we'll share on another on another show. I will say that I viscerally understood Soul's motivations and even desire to want to cross over just a bit. And I almost think that it was a mistake not to. And but I know that I mean, in terms of, from, like, sometimes the hero's got to do what he's got to do type of a standpoint, but the Jedi don't follow that type of a rule set. You know, the Jedi have this very kind of righteous and moral code that they're supposed to go by. But man,
that was the next part I was gonna say is for the last of the Jedi who, like, rose to the occasion, it's definitely Soul. So I don't know. I still love the guy, man.
I don't care what bad may have happened. I don't even care for some freak strange turn of events that he ends up turning out to be like some secret infiltrated Sith within the Jedi. I don't care. Soul's my guy from this point on. After that fight, and watching that guy literally, I mean, if anybody ever tries to, it's kind of like the whole, like, you know, there's an argument in Star Wars, and I don't mean to kind of get away from anything too much. There's an argument in Star Wars community about whether or not Mace Windu defeated Darth Sidious, or if he was capable of defeating Darth Sidious, or if Darth Sidious allowed himself to be defeated in order for Anakin to turn in that moment. And I'm of the belief that Mace Windu fully beat up, Darth Sidious 100%, but that was what was necessary in order for Anakin to turn in that moment. And whether or not Sidious knew or didn't know, I have no idea. But I'm on the camp that Mace would beat Sidious, and I feel the same way. I think that no matter what happens, if the argument ever comes up, well, Chimera and May, listen here, Soul beat that man's booty with his bare hands while that guy had a saber in his hand. So as far as I'm concerned, y'all can write it down. Soul is one of the best hand-to-hand combatants in Jedi history. And you heard it from right here, Joby One on Light of the Jedi podcast. But but speaking of, with the Soul thing, the interesting thing about that is, okay, so obviously, May and Osha kind of have their reuniting moment. Soul gets stunned, and then May and Osha come together.
Oh.
Right? And then Osha, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to add from the fight. I wanted to talk about the fight.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't ready to leave yet. And go on to something else. Sorry. Um, thought it was a great fight. What stood out to me the most was at the very end, as we already said, um, he was going to kill him unless Osha said, "Hey, that's not the Jedi way." Pretty much, Jedi's don't do that, and he relented, and and to me, that was like a flashback of Anakin Skywalker. That's the same type of anger and that fear that he had that brought him over to the dark side. So I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if he does turn, he turns to the dark side eventually in all this.
I saw that
I
moment
can,
kind of like Luke and Vader, you know, when Luke is like basically going almost full red, and he's just hammering his lightsaber against his dad's just over and over again,
Yeah.
like driving him down and down and down. And then eventually he sees what he's doing. He
Yeah.
stops himself and then he chunks his lightsaber, which is exactly what Soul does. As soon as Osha says something, Soul powers it down, chunks his lightsaber off, and it's like, I shouldn't even be doing this. And I mean that there's definitely some Skywalker parallels there for sure. I agree.
um,
I agree.
I can even go a step further than Joy, and even say that he's probably visited the dark side already. Like
Oh,
he's been there. I think that's what part of his past.
I mean, I think that something definitely happened on that, what's that planet? They're
Brenda.
on Maze
Uh,
and Oshus. Yeah, I think something definitely happened there for sure. And he participated in something that's
mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's kind of like so. I mean, why doesn't OSHA remember what happened? And something that the Jedi have done before in Knights
No,
of the
not
Old Republic. So in Knights of the Old Republic, it's not canon necessarily, but Revan was like a Jedi who turned Sith and became like this really crazy Sith, and then eventually got defeated. And the Jedi like literally mind wiped them with the Force.
Hmm.
And then he came back, and I think the canon, or not the canon story, but the story in the is that he ends up becoming a Jedi again or whatever in the storyline or what have you. But completely forgotten about his past as a very powerful Sith Lord. And so who trained with Darth Malak, right? And took off half of his jaw. So that Darth Malak figure that we have in the Black series, that's their story and what have you. So, but anywho, my point is that I wonder what if Soul, obviously he has some enhanced mind power abilities because Kymer doesn't want him to read his mind, and Osha has no idea what's going on. He can sense a lot of feelings and stuff, and he's got a very attuned mental force ability. So I'm wondering if Soul had something to do with possibly kind of changing Osha's memories about what happened that night. And
maybe
the fact that they kind of dabble in some of those legends material for this, it'd be interesting. I don't know, it's not an actual like, I don't believe this is what's going to happen. It's just it'd be an interesting there's precedent for it in Star Wars, to mind wipe somebody to get what you want from them, and that's exactly what the Jedi did in Knights of the Old Republic. So
maybe it didn't even happen on that at that time. I mean, it could have happened afterwards. Because what was the other Jedi's name? Talmar or Talbin?
Talbin, Turbin.
Turbin.
Torben. Yeah.
Turbin, that's him.
There it is. Terrible with names. Terrible.
He had stuff going on with him. I mean, it looked like he was blind. He had some, and that didn't all happen in that place on that day that we know of. So I mean, maybe these things that he needs to tell Osha from his past happened after the fact.
It could be, but I think there's definitely a fight. I think Kelnaka got possessed by the witches, and I think Kelnaka attacked Torben and
Mm,
injured him. I
Mm.
think Kelnaka, the reason why there's so many drawings all over Kelnaka's house of like the swirl and all the
Oh,
stuff, all the
yeah.
symbolism from the witches is because the witch is still in his head. And I
Uh,
think that's set up because just
mm,
like Yord said, he has a way of getting in your head and staying there. And what did
huh,
May say? Oh, my mom could do that, or whatever. O should say, my mom could do that too. So
yeah.
uh-huh.
obviously, there's some precedent in the show for that ability. So,
Yeah.
like I say, I'm thinking then that's the reason why Kelnaka probably exiled himself is because he did something he regretted, hurting someone that he cared about, even though it was out of his control. And he's seeing all these visions and having all these thoughts that aren't leaving him. So he's drawing it over and over again. It just sounds like that's probably what happened. Is that
Wow.
Kalnaka? I think Kalnaka that night. I think there was a fight. There was a big fight that led to that reactor thing that we see exploding and destroying their home.
Uh,
And I think that fight was probably because the Jedi came to take those kids, and the Coven said no, you know, and stood their ground to some degree. But we'll see. That's just what I gather from the trailer and from the story that we've got so far. And and what did Torben do that made him take a vow? That's the other side of it too. It's like
Yeah.
Torben take that Barash or whatever it's called vow because he was just there and participated and felt bad, or did he also do something regrettable? I think we're going to see all that.
mhm.
Episode 7, I believe,
Hmm.
if I was to
Oh.
guess,
Oh,
because
okay.
it's directed by the same person who directed the first flashback episode.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, we'll see though. I'm excited about all that because I want to see. I want to know. I think that's the big twist is finding out what's up with Soul, finding out what happened to these characters that have all been killed off, and why
Yeah.
we've kind of been led to this point. You know, but
Yeah.
it's been that was a wild ride, man, and I think that we definitely deserve more Kel Naka for sure, and we're gonna get it. Same with Indara. I think Indara is
Yeah.
going to be very heavily featured in that episode 7 as well. So
Mm.
I think I read somewhere that that's her most screen time
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
is in that episode. So,
Okay.
okay.
but what I was saying earlier about Soul was, the was in the in what happened is once Soul got knocked out, May and Osha came together. They start hugging. They start, trying to reunite. But obviously, Osha's still feeling that need to like prove to the Jedi that she's worthy because she's trying to still arrest her sister.
Yeah.
And then obviously, she knocks out Osha. May knocks out Osha with a force push that Osha didn't know how to defend. And then May comes up with the plan to switch places, and you see her cut her hair with the yellow bladed lightsaber, and then go to join or go and find Soul to try and head to the ship. So the question is, how did you guys feel about that
Hmm.
switch and having them switch places, and what do you think that's going to mean for the story overall going forward? And Jill, if you want to expand on that a little bit, I know at the very beginning before we started the stream, you weren't 100% sure, if
Mhm.
Osha had survived that ordeal, but now that you know that she has, like, what do you think about that?
It's going to be interesting. It's just like a twin switch.
Which we never did, by the way.
Mm.
No, no, no. We were good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could have, like maybe one of you was like better in geometry and the other one was better in like, Spanish class. And then you guys just on test day, y'all didn't never just swap places.
No, no, we didn't.
No, but there
But
are twin
Man,
stories like that.
yeah, there are twisters.
you are true Jedi. You guys are true Jedi. And I'm honored to
Mhm.
know you guys.
Yeah. Aw.
The whole switch thing, it's going to be interesting. What's going to happen if I mean May stays the way that she is is, or if Osha stays the way that she is, or if they do a switch, one's like May becomes dark sides, not dark side, but kind of sides with the Jedi, and then Osha sides with the Sith. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. If they do actually do the switch and they turn opposites, and it become, Osha becomes a Sith trainee kind of thing, the acolyte, and May becomes the Jedi. It's going to be interesting if it gets reversed again as well. Like it's like the whole, from the beginning to up the episode that we're up now, it's like switching. It's all switching. Like you see them when they were younger in the flashback. It's like switching. It's just
I
it's
I don't
very, very,
know.
very, very hard to tell what they're going to do.
I I saw
Oh,
and I think that May's going to be found out sooner than later because we got Basil on the move there. Basil
oh,
on the
right.
move. I like that
The
little guy. He's
tracker.
cute. And I think Soul, he's going to sense something's up. I think he senses because he knows.
I think he knows. I think he
Yeah.
knows because he looked
Yeah.
up and he said, he didn't say,
Yeah.
"Where's May?"
Eh,
He didn't say, "Where's Osha?" He looked up at May and said, "Where's your sister?"
Uh-huh.
You know, he
Well,
goes, where's your
yeah.
sister? And then when he walked by her, he goes, "Come on," and he kind of like patted her on the shoulder real quick and was just like, "Come on, let's go." And like, I don't know, just something in the vibe of when that happened made
Yeah.
me feel like Soul knows what's going on. Just
Yeah.
because I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be that, and they may be setting us up the way it looks is like Basil may be the one to kind of be like, "Hey, this is the wrong. We got the wrong. This ain't the right one," But nobody there understands him because, unfortunately, Yord was the only one who spoke his language in the
Yeah.
group. Everyone else spoke Shiri Whoop. So
Well,
unfortunately, he's just going to be like screaming like a badger, and Soul's going to not have any idea what the heck he's saying.
but it is quite interesting though, how that's all going to play out because I think May, she has some serious issues here because in one sentence she's saying, "Oh," she's telling who the stranger, but it's not really the stranger. It's Chimera. Oh, I'm gonna tell on the master, whoever he is. I'm gonna tell them what's going on, and I'm gonna turn myself in, and I'm gonna pretty much be good. I'm like, and that was in episode 4. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, all right, cool. And then and then you turn your head, and 1 minute later, she's back on her sister again. And
Yeah.
she's a bit, I said, boy, is she a bit moody. And so
Mhm.
she's going back and forth, back and forth. I don't think she knows what in the heck she wants, but she's sticking to her guns like she was when we first saw her, that she really wants to be. She wants to be recognized for her childhood um uh uh
Trauma.
what's it called, heritage. No, the heritage that she grew up. She wants to stay. She still wants to be recognized as that, and she wants her sister Osha to still accept that heritage.
And I think
And yes.
I was gonna say I think her motivations at the very beginning were centered around getting revenge for the death of her family, the death of her sister. And as soon as she sees Osha for the first time,
Yeah.
that changed everything. The look that they shared when May was in the speeder and Osha was at the Jedi Temple, and she blasts at her and misses on purpose and lets her go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think in that moment,
Yeah.
May's motivations changed because she goes, "Oh, well, now my goal isn't to become this acolyte to this Sith and become powerful and take my revenge on the Jedi. Now my motivations are to get my sister back with me so we can, because we're the last of our people.
Yeah.
We're the last of us of this group. Our
Yeah.
parents are gone, all this stuff. So
Right.
we're all we have. And so
Yeah.
that changes, and then all of a sudden she has zero loyalty. Her loyalty even to Kymer, or what she didn't realize was Kymer at the time, was really hinged on um, getting revenge. It was hinged solely on getting revenge on the Jedi, on poor Jedi who ruined her life and her. So, to now have that kind of come out from under her so fast, it I'm sure was very jarring for her to go, wait a minute, my sister's alive. Now my only goal is to just get us back together.
Right. And then
And there's probably an element of the Force driving that too, if there's some tie to them through that whatever magic is going on there.
Yeah. And then whenever she finds out that Osha still doesn't want any part of it, she goes crazy on her again. She goes off the deep end. I'm like, what? So it's
It almost seems though like May's trying to. I don't know, man. Like, I'm wondering what her motivation. I think she's trying to get away. Like, her motivations are probably strictly just to get away from Kymer, not to necessarily infiltrate the Jedi at this point, but to get away
maybe.
from Kymer and to try and expose what really happened.
Yeah.
So that
Maybe.
way, I don't think her motivations are like well, now I'm going to go sneak into the Jedi Temple and we're going to take the Jedi down. I think it's now I'm going to expose what Sol and Indara and all these people did so Osha can see it and
Oh.
then we can kind of reunite. I think that's just my guess because I don't think she cares about what Kymer's goals are at this point. I think she just wants to survive that guy. I think she wants to
Okay.
get away from him and live.
That's a good point.
Because he's going to
Yeah.
kill her regardless. In his mind, she's betrayed him.
Yeah.
It's the same thing the way Dooku set up Palpatine the way Palpatine set up Dooku to get killed by Anakin. It's once Palpatine realized he had no use for Dooku anymore, like he did not care. He knew that Dooku was trying to take him out in the background the whole time. So
Yeah.
I think that's what we're gonna see, man. I think what May's going to try and push to happen is for those two to get together and expose these Jedi. And I think, though, and regardless, is that either somebody like Yoda or somebody like that's going to have to come along and orchestrate a cover up, or everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really have much other choice. Either Sol, Kymer, the whole shebang, or Kymer goes back into hiding, or, whatever. So there's going to be either a massive cover up or everybody's gone. Everybody's toast.
Yeah. Something.
So, but I don't know, man. I'm also kind of like, I mean, I'm the type of person where it's like I don't really stick to necessarily one given theory. Like, I like to hear all the different theories and just kind of imagine like that thought trail just to see where it might go,
Mhm.
and I'll sometimes just sit there and theorize on what could possibly happen, even wild theories and stuff, because at one point I remember thinking like, oh man, what if May and Osha are like a force projection of each other, and they're not really like, what if they're the same person, like I had that real thought, going on at one point. But anywho, so I know, we kind of talked about the switcheroo happening and everything. Anakin, we really didn't get your thoughts on that, man. How'd you feel about the switch happening? How'd you feel about what do you think that does for the story? Do you have any predictions about it?
Well, I was actually just pretty confused too. I gotta say that's the one part of the episode I kind of struggled with, just because it's like her sister didn't want to go with her, or she was gonna arrest her and turn her in. So what? She takes her place and then just basically leaves her for dead. Because I can understand why, like her trying to get away from Kymir. But at the same time, she's got to know she's leaving her sister there with him. You know what I mean? Like, and all right. So here's, now that everybody gave their thoughts, Leslie Headland says that part of May's mission now is to prove how the Jedi and Sol are not what Osha thinks they are. And the rest of the season will explore the father-daughter relationship between Osha and Sol. But
What?
I'm just like, and now, so I'm just like wondering if that's her goal. Like, how does she even know that her sister's gonna make it out alive? Like, make it off of that planet Kofar alive? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I trust Leslie Headland and everything. So it was like pretty interesting, honestly.
Well,
I guess.
maybe they left. Maybe she. I don't think throughout any of that fight, I'm gonna have to go through any of those fight sequences that we saw Keimer actually try to kill OSHA.
Yeah, I don't think she did. I guess.
Even after the stun, OSHA tried to stun Keimer. I don't even think after that Keimer even like attempted to kill her, even when he was chasing after her, chasing her down. I didn't see, and then he threw the saber at her direction. But I mean, he didn't really throw it right at her. He threw it through those trees, and it was kind of it didn't really seem like he was really trying to kill her. It seemed like he could have, if he really wanted to, just grabbed her and impaled her like he did with those other Jedi. She doesn't have any force powers at all. So, I don't know. I think maybe, I don't know. It's a stretch to say that, May must have known that Keimer wouldn't have killed OSHA. It's a stretch to say that she could have known that, with any certainty. But, that, I guess that's, maybe it's that. Maybe she wants, because Keimer obviously knows what happened that night. The way he talks about it, he must know what happened. So I'm wondering if she's like, okay, well, I'm going to leave you with him and let him tell you. Well, let him show you what happened that night. But again, that's just assuming. That leaves the assumption that May must know that Keimer is not going to kill her, and like there's a lot of
Yeah.
it needs a stretch. It needs a little bit of a stretch, and so I can understand why it doesn't necessarily. It's not buttoned up neatly, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, let's see.
Oh, real quick. I think it's like Joy said. I think May is a mess, and that she has issues.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. She definitely has some. She definitely has some issues. I mean, they're all. I think. Torben even. Kelnaka, Indara. I think Indara probably was like the decision maker at that day. And so like a lot of the responsibility of whatever went sour probably rests on her shoulders, and I think that's why she's going to have a lot more screen time. Why they probably picked her, Carrie Ann Moss, to play that role. As we'll probably see in the flashback that we're going to see what she did, and we probably might not feel so bad that she was taken out so early in the first episode, because it'll be like, oh, okay, well, yeah. May was rightfully pretty angry about what happened. I think that's what we're going to find out. I think Soul probably opposed what happened that night, but wasn't in charge, and probably feels a certain level of like, I should have done more, and I should have, stepped in. And that's probably where May and OSHA eventually are, because obviously she's going to get the full story. And there's going to be a tussle between those two, I believe. I think OSHA and Soul are going to have it out. And I think I don't know, man. I don't think this is all going to be. This isn't going to end with some. I don't think it's going to end on like some hopeful note, like a lot of Star Wars series and movies do. I think we're probably going to be left more like impacted. More than like, feeling like we've watched a hero's journey. But what do y'all guys think? What developments do you see possibly coming from what we know so far, and what do you guys hope to see? What do you What are your wild theories, if you have any? What do you think?
I can go.
Go
I can.
ahead.
I think we are going to get a cliffhanger of some sort, or just an ending that was like it would leave us like, like you see the Titanic, you walk out of that movie theater and you just was like depressed as all get up. And I think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be like an ending like that. And I think Soul, we're gonna. I think we're gonna hopefully see some more about Soul and what he's desperately he's so trying to tell Osha what
Mhm.
happened, and it's
Yeah.
really wearing on his heart. He needs to get this out. He wants to tell her,
He's
and I
burdened
hope
by it.
he's
Mm.
right. And I just hope he gets to say it because I really like to hear it.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be something. It's going to wow us.
Mhm.
I think we're going to be you know
Like
I think
wow us or shock us? Like
shock.
wow us
No,
in some
yes,
positive
no, no,
way,
no.
or
I mean shock us. I think it's going to be like a shock, wow, shock. And
okay,
I and Dara and Dara, am I saying that name right?
Endara.
And
I
Dara.
mean, yeah,
Okay. And yeah, we're going to see more of a flashback with her because I remember in some of the trailers we do see more of her. So we're going to see that flashback, and I think, like you said, Joby, I believe that she's probably like the main person in charge of that whole mission, that whole scouting event or whatever, and
yeah,
she did some things, and that's why Torben's messed up, and Soul, he I think he still struggles with what went on, and he needs to tell somebody, and he wants to tell the people that are involved or affected, and
yeah.
I think he's dealing with it. He's dealing with it, but he still wants to be free of what he knows. So I hope we see that, but I think it's going to be like a shocker ending.
Yeah. What do you
That's
think,
my
Joy?
I have no idea.
thought.
Honestly, I really don't. I just want to sit down and watch each episode as it comes, and whatever happens, okay, bring it on.
That's a very healthy way.
I
That's a
just want
very
to be
healthy way to
surprised.
watch it.
Yeah, I want to be surprised, and yeah. So that's all I'll say. I'll keep it short and sweet.
That's good. That's way better than I'll do. I promise. That's way.
Oh, I thought you
I'm
already did
working.
that.
I'm working on my. Oh no, no, no! I'm working on my dissertation right now.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, Anakin, what do you think, man? Like, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions? Wild theories? Like, what do you see happening or potentially happening? Or
Okay, so honestly, like anything could happen. The only thing that we know is the flashback episode will probably be episode 7. Because not only is it the same director, but there was an interview with an actress who was part of the Coven, and she's also credited as being in that episode. So, but so Manny Jacinto, the one who plays Chimere, he says, now we're going into a completely different territory. Now it's a different world that we're going to introduce you to, and not just a new story, but new motivations for all the different characters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would like to. There was this trailer conversation posted between Leslie Headland and Dave Filoni, where they're talking about the Sith. And in the video, Leslie says that the thing that she wanted to explore with this series was the Sith. So, and also how, the rule of two and how one is supposed to have the power and the apprentice is supposed to crave it and try and overthrow them. So I guess I really hope that we start diving into like the Sith stuff and everything. I really think that, I mean, in the interview, Leslie Headland said she would like to write a season 2, if only to keep Chimere alive and to, keep playing with the character. but I think that there's a big chance that he could be killed by either Osha or like his master or something, and like at the end of
Yeah,
the series.
he's kind of risk exposure, man, for a
Yeah.
very important, you know.
Yeah, and May and Osha obviously aren't going to die, I don't think, in the series. So they're going to be the ones to
Oh
know.
yeah, well, you got a track record with predicting deaths on this episode so far, my friend. So
Oh yeah,
I'm not gonna put my money down. You know, Jackie and Yord are supposed to be alive right now, man, according to you. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
put my bets on everybody dies, at least the
Honestly,
majority of it. You know.
it's so badass that they did that. Like, I love those characters,
But
but
to be fair, y'all remember I did say that about Bad Batch too. Remember, I was like, everyone's gonna die. Everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sad. And then
Yes,
it didn't
you
happen,
did.
and I was so happy it didn't happen. Thank goodness it didn't happen. I would have been devastated. I would have been devastated.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
one
But
last like prediction or whatever. Somebody I saw mentioned it in like a comment on Star Wars Explained, and when I went back and watched episode 3 again with the flashback on Brendok, if you notice, there's a moment where they're by the power generator, and it makes this like noise and kind of shakes, and Mother Coral like looks up at it, like, you know what I mean? Dude, and that, I think that's before May starts the fire. And all I'm saying is, I won't be surprised if we find out that like the power generator was malfunctioning or something like that, and when all this stuff was going down, like maybe it explodes or something, and May's fire makes it worse, and maybe like the Coven and the Jedi kind of like blame each other or something. But that would be interesting if neither side knows what actually happened, except maybe here
Maybe
or maybe Soul. But
oh yeah, I
maybe
mean,
that's the shocker.
Mhm.
We find it out at the end. Maybe that's the
You guys
shocker.
should
but I
go rewatch
still,
it
you
and
know,
see the moment. But go
something.
ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it's hard to guess, you know, like
Yeah.
because there's so much of it is has been perspective based. Like we're seeing like so much of the story through Osha's childhood trauma and her eyes, her point of view, and so that I think uh, makes the water a little more murky, you know, and kind of harder to interpret like what actually happened that day based on what we've seen so far. And you
I
know,
love it.
I, I like that. I like that idea though. You know that like nobody's to blame, but they blame each other, and how it's like nobody's to blame, but everyone's responsible. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah,
no one's to
exactly.
blame for what happened per se,
Yeah.
but everyone's responsible for how they responded, how they acted in that moment, how they helped perpetuate whatever issues were going on at that time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've we got 3 more episodes, which is great. We got so much out of these last 2, and we still have 3 more to go. I'm super excited about those episodes.
Me
Real quick,
too.
I do wanna ask, do y'all have any, you know, obviously we all collect the Black Series here, you know, no shade to any of our vintage collection people, but is there any figure from this episode that you would like to see, or is there any new kind of figure from, you know, just the entire series that you're like, oh my gosh, this one has to happen, you know? What are you guys' thoughts on that? What do you want to see come out from the Black Series line from this series?
Can I go first?
Yeah,
Oh,
go
Let's
ahead.
do it.
Anthony.
Sure.
I don't know if this is gonna mess you all up, but
Nah, it's okay.
I would take, honestly, I would take like a re-release of Jackie with Kalnaka's saber, because I'm a sucker, and it's a really epic
I'd buy
moment.
it.
Yeah.
But also, I want a deluxe Chimere / the Stranger. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be able to have him as Chimere. I want to be able to have him as the
Removable
Stranger with
helmet.
the helmet. the gauntlet, and I also want him to have the helmet off and the hair down and just wearing like the Kylo Ren looking costume. But I swear
Please,
that
Hasbro.
would be the ultimate
Please,
figure.
Hasbro.
If they
This
make
man
it
is
three
cooking.
different figures, I'll take 3 different figures. I'll give them my money.
Yeah, no, I,
What
I,
about you guys?
yeah. I like Anakin. Yeah. I like what he said. And in
Mhm.
fact, I was gonna say, well, I mean, no joke. I mean, I'm sure we all want the stranger, but I was thinking about something like he was thinking, a 2-pack. Yeah, a chimera and the stranger and all that. Yeah. But I like
Chimera
that
and
little
Man, but
Jedi,
what? Yeah.
we need a
and she
battle
comes with
damaged
like both of the
soul.
stables. Oh
What?
yeah.
We need
What?
a battle damaged soul.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a sucker. Y'all guys know I'm a sucker for a repaint.
Yeah, we
Give me
know.
the repaints.
Basil. Basil.
Uh-huh.
Oh
Basil.
yeah. That
He's a
has to
cute
happen.
little guy. He's a
Basil has
cute
to
little
happen.
guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that little thing. That's
I hope by
nice.
the end of the series we get to meet Basil's little family. He's just got like 3 little gopher squirrels just hanging out, little baby ones
What if he dies
Well,
that
throughout the
all
two
speak
shows?
basic. Did you say what if he dies? You did not just say that.
No, what if you meet his family and stuff, and then like the stranger ends up killing him or something? That'd be so messed
No,
up.
you don't say that. You don't.
We've already had too much death.
My
I,
heart can't take it. Not Basil. Anybody but Basil.
well, I'm gonna go with a check mark on all of those suggestions. I would love to see the 2-pack with Kymar and the stranger,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
also the little groundhog hype little tracker. So
What?
I mean,
What?
Yep.
he
That
looks like
is.
a little
I'd like
groundhog.
You think he
I'd
looks
like
like
to you just re-release Yord and give us like a just release him with the head turned around backwards in the package.
Oh.
That's blah blah
No.
blah blah.
No, that's something not
Don't
right
come for
there.
me. Don't come for me, Yord Horde. Don't come for me, Yord Horde. It's a joke. It's a joke, please. I stand for Yord as well. I stand for that guy.
Well, you
I
know
like Yord.
what made me a little bit like, I wonder if Hasbro had this all planned, but they don't know. But they released all of those characters and they're all gone already, and everybody bought them, and they released them way before the show
Well,
started. The post
and
pre-order.
Kiadi just happens to come out right around when the show drops
Exactly.
Yeah.
too.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they know what's up, man. They know
I,
what's up.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
Disney tells them, go ahead, it's
it's like,
time.
and I'm thinking, who would want to buy all of those figures if they're all gone already? It's like, what kind of meaning are they going to be? But yeah, I know. I do the
That
same
makes
thing.
me
I bought
that
them.
makes me want to more sometimes. When the character.
Yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, I'm a sucker. I do it. I get them. I mean, they were some nice looking figures, so I bought them.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be great for the show. I mean, there's
Mhm.
some. They're gonna be awesome for the show for sure. And I mean, the fact now that we're gonna get the OSHA figure and it's coming with the little pit droid, and
Mhm.
I just hope we get all the figures we want from this series. Because I mean, it's a good line so far. We definitely need. I think Anakin hit it on the head with the deluxe Chimer Stranger,
Oh yeah.
pack, like with
Yeah.
either swappable
Yep.
heads or some
Yeah.
removable soft goods with the
Mhm.
helmet and all of that. I think would be
Uh-huh.
good. And I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think they'd need to make a new body per se, because you do have. I think the Maroc body might work for a Stranger figure, like in terms of base body, and then that way
Oh.
they wouldn't have to like give us a whole brand new molded figure. 'Cause it's so
Or
highly articulated. It's got the ball jointed wrists. It's got
Yeah.
the all that. All they have to do is just change it
yeah.
up a little bit.
Yeah.
But
That sounds
I'm
good.
sure they'll give us. Hopefully they give us a new one. Hope they just mold a brand new one. But I want that one. I think that'd be a great figure. I said battle damaged soul, but what I really want and what I think we all really want now that we've seen, the ones that have been revealed is give us a stranger, give us Kymer, give it to us.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to cover from the show before we close out?
No.
No,
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm going.
Oh, Annie.
Oh.
Sorry, I have one thing.
Wow.
I feel like it's important to say. So Charlie Barnett, the guy who plays Yord, he said that Yord represents the people who are trying to do what's best, and I hope we all have space and patience for people like that. But I was like, dang, I feel like I should keep that
I
in
like
mind
that.
in my life,
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, his motivations are seeking to do what's right, not,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's, he's very, there's no ill intent behind what he's trying to do. It's very honest, it's
Mhm.
very upfront. And so that's definitely super, super cool about Yord. And,
Yeah.
again, I apologize to the Yord board. I swear, I didn't mean anything by that action figure re-release. It's just a joke. We love
the stickers. Now it's like, I mean, I'll still buy it, but still.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm pleased again. I've been saying this every week. I'm really excited about this show. I'm excited about next week's episode.
Mhm.
It's nice to have that feeling about Star Wars. It was nice to have that with Bad Batch, and it turned right around to have something else to kind of look forward to every week that is Star Wars, and to know that Skeleton Crew is on the horizon. I think we'll
Yeah.
probably get that right around the
Oh,
holidays,
wow.
if I was to
Mhm.
guess. So we've got more Star Wars coming to us, and that's always
Yeah.
exciting. And for everybody who is listening, if you are not following them yet, definitely go check out the Jedi Twins. They have a really great YouTube channel, lots of really great content, fun action figure reviews. And then over on the Fan Force Alliance channel, you'll see some of their character breakdowns. You'll see some of that stuff. And I mean, they do a great video for us, over here too. So definitely check out their channel. You catch Anakin here with me on the Light of the Jedi podcast every week. And then we have Jedi Rogar. Also, if you're not following him on Instagram and checking out some of his stuff, definitely go check him out. I mean, lots of 3D printing, action figure customization, cosplay, that type of stuff. And, just all around great guy to talk to.
Yep.
Then Ryan Speaks Geek just dropped a new video showing off some of the old 90s toys. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't really Star Wars related per se, but it's definitely nostalgia related, and it was a nice throwback. He picked up a mystery bag for like $5 and had like 20 random toys from like the kind of 90s. It reminded me of like the Happy Meal toys and like the fast food little toys that you get. It was so cool. And then I'm Joby Wan, I'm a rapping Black Series collector. Got music out on all the streaming platforms, a YouTube channel of my own. I try to do my best here and unite it all together with the Fan Force Alliance. Our main goal and objective is to try and have fun, put out some really great content for the folks that want to see something that's a little more positive, celebrates our love for Star Wars, and also to be a resource for people. So remember, if you're going through something, you got people bullying you online or something that's kind of putting you in a bad place mentally, emotionally, feel free to reach out to the Fan Force Alliance, any one of us individually, or you can contact me, and we'd be happy to point you in the direction of some resources and be an ear or a sounding board for you if you need it. We're here for you. So guys, this has been the Light of the Jedi podcast. We appreciate y'all for joining, and make it your mission this week, everyone who's listening, to be a light, to just be a light. Don't fight the dark with more darkness, just light a candle. Guys, we appreciate you for joining us. Much love. May the Force be with you. We're out.